Hey, truth seekers, welcome back. Zach here. Yesterday, Sunday, December 4th, 2016, it's reported that an armed gunman walked into Comet Pizzeria announcing that he was doing an investigation on what has become known as Pizzagate. What I want to show you is why this story happened yesterday. This was a staged incident, meaning it was contrived, it was purposeful, it was put on by the media, by the police, by the gang of people that have instigated this psychological operations known as Pizzagate. Pizzagate is a false accusation that a pedophilia ring is being run out of a pizza shop in Washington, D.C. There is no evidence to support this story. There's a lot of awkward Instagrams and emails that have been provided through WikiLeaks, but there's no real evidence. And what has been done here is something purposeful. It is a targeted attack on the truth-seeking community online. They have been given a narrative that sounds real and has duped a lot of people into believing in it. Yes, in Washington, D.C., in this world, there are pedophilia rings. There's sex trafficking even of children. But this story right here is not real. It just plays on that real narrative and is duping people into becoming fixated on a lie. And with each passing week, the media is building their narrative for how there's a group of people out there online who are instigating real problems, making fake news, making false accusations, hurting real people. And they're using Pizzagate to push this narrative forward. So, if you are caught up in Pizzagate, recognize what is being done. You are being duped into a purposeful lie that is part of an agenda that has the goal of planting a seed as to why the internet needs to be censored, why there needs to be new laws to prosecute people online doing this kind of truth work, if you will. You know, this James Alefantis went on NPR last week and explained this very clearly about how people are protected online behind their screen names, behind these websites, and things need to change so that isn't the case anymore. Also, the other piece to understand here is the media is flipping the script. I mean, look at this is the headline. This is the front page of CNN yesterday. Fake news gets real. Our mainstream media every single day is an information weapon, spreading lies, propaganda, contrived news for the sake of agenda. So what they're doing with Pizzagate is just part of a bigger machine, you know, lying to people, deceiving them, sucking them in, using their emotions against them. This goes on all the time in our news, from September 11th to Pizzagate to all the shootings at schools and theaters and malls. Almost all of this news is purposefully contrived to steer us. And if you look at the overall picture of where we're being steered, it is to war, and it is to having less rights, less liberties, more police, more surveillance. This is the building of a police state, piece by piece. And this story is just one strategic component, ousting the people who are trying to do something about it. And I think the majority of the people who believe in this Pizzagate, that there's something real to this story, I think these people, for the most part, have good intentions and they care about children and outing wrong in the world, but they need to see how they're getting duped and deceived. This story only got out here because of WikiLeaks and Reddit, which are not things that are here for the truth. WikiLeaks is controlled by your government. It's why it doesn't leak anything relevant. Julian Assange says he doesn't think there's anything suspicious about September 11th. I mean, give me a break. So anyway, let's get into now why this shooting on a Sunday. Sunday should remind you of something, especially on the topic of pedophilia, which we'll get to. But before we get to why this shooting on a Sunday and why the shooter who's accused is who they used with the name, turns out this person's an actor in IMDb database, we'll get to all of that. But before we get there, I just want to give you a little warm-up. This pizza shop is in Comet Pizza in Washington, D.C. Comet in gematria sums to 56, just like Washington, D.C. This story, it's coming at this time for a reason too. It follows the presidential election. Right after the presidential election, then we went into Pizzagate. And if you haven't been following Pizzagate, it's saying that Hillary Clinton and John Podesta are running a child sex trafficking ring. So it's targeted at the Democratic Party. This comes just after Donald Trump, the Jesuit, the Masonic order within the Catholic Church, a church that has a lot to do with pedophilia. This story comes right after Donald Trump is announced as the 45th president. Again, the Jesuit. And the Jesuits, the Masonic order within the Catholic Church, they're the ones who really have a lot to do with pedophilia in this world. And that's the thing I don't understand about all these Pizzagate people. I mean, child sex trafficking and pedophilia has been a real problem in this world for centuries. And all these people stirred up over Pizzagate. I got to wonder why you weren't stirred up before. Why wasn't this your big issue every day? You see all these truth channels saying, this is the biggest story ever. This is the most important. I mean, how? This has been going on nonstop. You guys have to realize what's done to you. Somebody puts a story in front of your face, like a rabbit with a carrot, or, a dog on the dog track running around after the stuffed bunny. It's this same thing. This is exploiting your animal nature, this Pizzagate story. So anyway, Donald Trump, the Jesuit, was announced as the 45th president on November 9th, 2016. A date with 56 numerology, going to be the new boss in Washington, D.C. On 11/9, we're going to be talking about gematria. The name Donald equals 119. This commercial that you're looking at here, Donald Trump talking to sheep, it's from 2010. And if you go look at what Donald Trump wore the night of the election when he announced accepting he would be president, he was wearing this same suit, this same tie. 6 years earlier, he did this commercial talking to digital sheep for Serta mattresses. Look at the numbers on the screen. 11/9. This same truth community that's caught up in Pizzagate right now, they're the same ones who were caught up in the lies perpetrated within the truth community that Donald Trump is who they should support. Donald Trump was going to be so great. Donald Trump was going to turn things around. All the shills and liars within the truth community, such as Alex Jones and all of his followers and wannabes, the same ones who are, pumping out this Pizzagate story, the same people who were duped into thinking Donald Trump was anything but a New World Order agent, they're the same people who are duped into this Pizzagate. And the reason that is because the demographic of this online truth community, it leans Christian, it leans conservative, it leans Republican. And look, the online truth shills, they all play on those things. If you missed the debate I just had with a call for an uprising who retired after debating me, and for good reason, he needed to. That was the right move for that guy. You guys should see the last email he wrote me. He said he was going to have me running from YouTube like the coward I was. And then the next day, after he wrote that email, he told everyone he was quitting. But anyway, he was one of these people pretending to be a Christian, pretending Pizzagate's real, making all these videos in all caps, Pizzagate connected to Miley Cyrus and all this stuff. These are the same people who've been pushing Donald Trump. All of this comes together. They're playing on what the bias is of the truth community and duping them into lies. Donald Trump, he's Republican Christian, you can support him. He's not evil like Hillary. And I'm not here defending Hillary. I can't stand Hillary Clinton. But a lot of you guys need to wake up. You follow these people just because they say they're Christian. That's all. They just say it like it's an advertising campaign, and right away you're in. You'll follow any shill who lies about being Christian, like a call for an uprising. So anyway, got to get on to why this shooter. A few more notes. We just talked about how Washington, D.C. equals 56, like Comet Pizza, like the announcement of Donald Trump on November 9, 2016. I should mention that the name Rockefeller equals 56, and Donald Trump was in Rockefeller Plaza on the night of the election. Anyhow, Washington, D.C. in simple English gematria sums to 137. So does the word authority. 137 is the 33rd prime, and 33 is the big number of the Freemasons who believe in order out of chaos, divide and conquer, who control our news, who control our media, who run this puppet show and this information weapon of lies. Look at it. The word federal, 33. Washington, D.C., 137, the 33rd prime, head of the federal government, federal 33, order 33. Clinton. For the record, a lot of people don't realize this. Bill and Hillary Clinton were not born into the Clinton family. Bill Clinton was born William Jefferson Blythe. His biological father died. His mother remarried. Hillary Clinton gets the name through Bill. The Clintons are original founders of the United States of America. Powerful family in New York that operates from the shadows. But anyway, federal order Clinton. The pizza shop owner here is Elephantis 33, Pizza 33, Gate 33. The Freemasons who run the show, I mean, the first recognized president of this nation, he's not even really the first president, but he was the 33rd degree Master Mason, George Washington. 33. 33, number of the Freemasons, always relevant, always coded as being symbolic in the propaganda they push. Again, the Freemasons believe in divide and conquer, order out of chaos. Here's from the U.S. Army Field Manual, 33-1. They have something called a psychological operations, and that is any form of communication in support of objectives designed to influence the opinions, emotions, attitudes, or behavior of any group in order to benefit the sponsor, either directly or indirectly. Think about it. You know, this is what the television is. And one of my oldest videos is how the mainstream media is a military psychological operations. When the TV first came out, every single news anchor on TV for every major news network had a military background and education. Think about this nation. It's always been at war since it was created. It began out of a genocide. It began with wars. It's been at wars ever since. It creates wars all over the world. It stirs up other countries and gets them in wars. And that's because this nation, it's never even really been a sovereign nation. It was created out of an agenda, of world control. The people who came over from Europe and then took over the Americas because the people here didn't have the technology. They didn't have the guns, They didn't have the ammunition. They had bows and arrows. We are living out an agenda. The one world order, the new world order. It's not something that's coming. It's something that came here a long time ago, killed the native people, and is now building over time. United States of America, because of its existence, went over into the world wars, recreating what? The way Europe was carved up, the way the Middle East was carved up, the way this whole world's carved up. Just ongoing agenda we're living out. And the name of the gang the whole time is keep the people's eye off the ball. Don't let them see what's really going on in the world. Keep them confused over lies, fighting with each other over nonsense. That's what this Pizzagate is, Has all these people all worked up. They don't see the trap they're falling for. They're saying out things like, Pizzagate's the most important thing ever, and it just doesn't make sense. It's like, well, these people must not have a clue. They think this is the only sex trafficking ring going on in the world, and there's not even one going on here. It's a pizza shop. It's a setup. So anyway, Pizzagate's got 33 tied all over it. This is a psychological operations. This is an agenda. Now they're adding a false flag to it, having a gunman come in there, tying in another one of their narratives, disarm the people, spy on the people, give the people no rights, give them no way to fight back against tyranny. That's what it is. We're moving at a slow boils pace. Slow boils pace, the joke about how you kill a frog, you just slowly turn up the heat. The frog won't hop out of the hot pan. What's going on here? Day by day, piece by piece. Pizzagate's just one piece. The date of this story, it was a date with 52 numerology. The word government equals 52. I mean, think about it. In Washington, D.C., federal agenda, fitting. And we'll get to why Sunday. We're almost there. This headline up at the top, fake news gets real. Here's part of the mocking. Here's part of the mocking right here. Fake news gets real has gematria of 90. So does the word pedophile, and that's what people are upset about. There's some pedophilia ring going on here. And there's a lot of information in the world that's been out there for a long time about all the pedophilia going on in high places, from Washington, D.C. to the Vatican. So again, I'm not saying, child sex trafficking is not real. I'm just saying don't get caught up in a story that was given to you to suck you in so that the mainstream media can demonize the truth community and say, see how gullible they are, see how dangerous they are, see how they stir all this problem up over nothing. Now you got people evacuating a pizza shop with an assault rifle. The subheadline up there at the top, it also connects to the name Hillary Rodham Clinton, who's the biggest name in this Pizzagate scandal. Again, this came right after the election where she lost to Donald Trump, the Jesuit. The name of the pizza shop, Comet Ping Pong, also summed to the same thing as Hillary Clinton. So again, the gematria of Pizzagate is 48, like propaganda, like hoax. Pizzagate in English Sumerian gematria, which is using the alphabetic order for each letter and then multiplying times 6, sums to 666. Number of the beast. Number this gang likes to code a lot. So here we go. This is what I was thinking yesterday. When I first saw this article was on a Sunday, the first thoughts I wrote down were, okay, this comes back to pedophilia, child molestation. It's a Sunday. It's the day of worship for the Christian church, only because of the Catholic Church, because once upon a time in history, the Catholic Church, where they ruled, the Catholic Church used to be the government in a lot of places, where they ruled, they made it punishable for Christians to worship on Saturday. In the Bible, it says to worship on Saturday, the Sabbath day, Sunday, the day of rest. Anyway, the Catholic Church moved the day of worship to Sunday. Sunday, the sun in the sky. Anyway, 84 is the gematria of Sunday. Sunday equals 84, Jesuit equals 84, so does the word molest, which fits right in with the story. The Jesuits, they are a Masonic order that believes in divide and conquer, just like the overall Freemasonry worldwide. Think about this nation, United States of America equals 84, founded by Freemasons, a nation where the people have always been divided, but the way this gang operates, and they told you about it in the book 1984 by George Orwell, the phrase becomes Orwellian when you say one thing and do the opposite. And we know the people who govern over us, that's how they always operate. They say one thing and do the exact opposite and get away with it again and again. United States of America, but really it's the divided States of America. So that was my thought when I first saw this on a Sunday. They didn't even put out the shooter's name. But then when the shooter's name came out, I just had to laugh. And this is the worth of gematria. They put out the shooter's name, and his name is Edgar Madison Welch with that awkward double D spelling. Edgar Madison Welch. I didn't decode where he's from. We'll do that together to see if there's anything interesting there at the end. Salisbury, like a steak. And they said he was 28 years old. But anyway, just look at his name. Edgar Madison Welch, gematria of 84. Numbers we just talked about, relevant to Sunday, relevant to the Catholic Church, the Jesuit order. They said he was 28 years old, and there's only two numbers when written out that have this connection. When you write out 28, it sums to 156. When you write out 33, it sums to 156. And 911 is the 156th prime. This is a story of a man bringing in a gun to Pizzagate, having the police called on him, and being arrested. The 28-year-old provoked 911. And with regards to the World Trade Centers, they existed for 33 years. They were open for 28. This 28 and 33 pairing, one we talk about pretty often on this channel. So here it is again. Edgar Madison Welch. What are the odds? 84, just like Sunday. This is how the mocking is. Gematria is a thinking man's game. When did it become viral news in the world that in high places there were rings being existing trafficking children for sex? Decade, 2 decades ago, all the news broke out about the Vatican. Still, who runs the show? And I should mention, right now we're in the time of the first Jesuit Pope, Pope Francis. He's born on a date with 84 numerology. Never seen my work on Pope Francis? Check out my videos. This number 911 being the 156th prime, again connecting to 28 his age. The word false flag also has gematria of 156. That's absolutely what this is. Remember, the construction firm that built the World Trade Centers, their name in gematria sums to 156. World Trade Centers existed for 33 years. When you write out 33, it sums to 156. False flag equals 33 the small way. So let's talk about this restaurant owner, James Alefantis. Real quick before we get to him, I just want to remind you, I documented this on my blog November 5th, 3 days before the election. WikiLeaks leaked this story about Hillary Clinton being connected to child sex trafficking out of Haiti, and they said 33 children. And then just days later, the Pizzagate story came out connecting Hillary Clinton to this child sex ring out of the pizza store. You know, Pizza 33, again, the same number. From the same source, WikiLeaks, that also leaked 33,000 emails of Hillary's. 33, they love to use that number. The day prior to the national news story about the gunman at Pizzagate, I noticed BBC. It was the first time I saw them writing about Pizzagate and fake news. They wrote about this December 2nd, so 2 days before the reported shooting on Sunday. BBC getting on the action. Remember, BBC equals 223 like Masonic. And again, with regards to the Freemasons, the pizza shop owner, he is definitely a part of this planned agenda. He's a willing participant, willing to endure the shaming, playing his role in the Masonic order he belongs to. Look at this. Again, his name equals 33, Alefantis. If you use the S exception on his name, it sums to 42, and he's currently 42 years old. Remember, S is the 19th letter. 1 plus 9 is 10. 1 plus 0 becomes 1. So S can be worth 1 or 10. Alefantis, when it's worth 1, is 33. When it's 10, Alefantis is 42. The letter G for the Freemason compass and square, the big G, in Francis Bacon gematria, lowercase a through z is 1 through 26, uppercase a through z is 27 through 52. Big G is 33, number of Freemason obsession. In English Sumerian gematria, where you multiply the alphabetic order times 6, G is the 7th letter, 7 times 6 is 42. G represents 33 and 42. Alefantis is currently 42 years old at the time of this Freemason divide and conquer agenda operation. Order out of chaos. Remember, order's 33. What's the order that's coming out of this? Censorship. There'll be more stories like this in time to trap the truth community again. That's why I'm always teaching these skills. For 3 years, I've been here teaching how to see through these lies that are put out there to suck you in. It's disappointing for all the people who followed my channel for years and they got sucked into this Pizzagate and said I was wrong. Very clear I'm not wrong. I mean, this is so easy and transparent to see through. The timing of it, the coding on it, the absurdity of the story. Why would they need to go run their child sex trafficking ring through a pizza shop, a public place, when these people own all this stuff, have all this authority, security, control over information? Got to know when you're being mocked. But again, 42, number of the Freemasons. Supposedly this name Alefantis in children means I love, or Alefantis in French means I love children. How perfect. I want to show you this, how GQ said he was the 49th most influential man in Washington, D.C. Pretty big accomplishment, Washington, D.C., a city with powerful people. Mr. Alefantis mingles with other Washington chefs, and his establishment helped him to be named number 49 in GQ's magazine, 50 Most Powerful People in Washington in 2012. So that was 2012. I don't know if he'd still be ranked as number 49, but you got to ask, how does a pizza shop owner in Washington, D.C. get this kind of recognition? Well, in truth, I think it's just a little tribute in the GQ article. If you've never seen my work on GQ, they are always coding their articles with numbers, just like most of the mainstream media is, because this practice of gematria, numbers into words, it is a Masonic It is a Jewish Zionist practice. It is a Kabbalist practice, which is Jewish mysticism. Who runs your media? It's undeniable. Almost everyone in media is Jewish, and almost all of them are Zionists. So anyway, being number 49 in Washington, Washington equals 49, and here's what else I think is behind that. The number 227 is the 49th prime number. When you divide 22 by 7, you get 3.14 decimal point. The number for pi, think about pizza, pie, pi like you learned about in geometry, having to do with circles like the shape of a pizza. When you write out 22 divided by 7 in gematria, it sums to 314. When you divide 22 by 7, you get 3.14. Imagine if there was a decimal point right there. Same number as pi. Our language is based on this gematria mathematics system, no doubt. So some more obvious signs that Pizzagate is a hoax. You have all these fake Christian YouTube channels, such as KJ Osborne. All of you who are deceived by KJ, major shill. Who is KJ's employer? KJ's employer before he had his YouTube channel was the mainstream media. If I remember correctly, he worked for NBC. KJ Osborne, the scariest movie ever, pushing Pizzagate. And what did he do before he worked for the mainstream media? He was in the military. Military media. Who runs your media? The military. As I've been saying since I first got here. And KJ Osborne, out of all the shills, he's one of my favorite, because at least he talks nice most of the time and he's not so abrasive. But he is one of them. And that's why right now he's pretending like somebody hacked his... Are you hearing what KJ Osborne's up to right now? Pretending like somebody hacked his Twitter over Pizzagate? And, you know, he's doing interviews and talking to people and he's making it seem like I hacked his Twitter. I don't even know how to use Twitter for the most part, people. I've never hacked anybody. I'm not a hacker. I don't have the strongest computer skills. That's why all of my videos are so low editing. The reason they're doing this right now is because of the website for the campaign that we're building, All for Truth, to organize the truth-seeking community, to mobilize us, to share the best information so we're always, you know, in the know and not being duped, such as Pizzagate. That website for the campaign that was ready to launch December 15th, it actually got hacked last week and destroyed. And it's being rebuilt, and it's going to be even better than it was before. But my project to unite us and help us out, it really was hacked. And now you have KJ saying his Twitter was hacked and blaming it on me. This is how they mock. This is the same thing. This is like Pizzagate microcosm. Somebody really did get hacked. It was me. And I'm not out here crying about it and whining about it and blaming it on people. Now KJ's out here making some noise, and Jeff C. saying, you know, Zacky's against Pizzagate and he's hacking KJ's Twitter. You guys got to wake up. It's very obvious who's lying to you and who's not. So anyway, here's another liar who just emerged on the scene. He's getting like 10,000, 15,000 subscribers a day right now, just lying to everybody, saying these crazy things. 2 people have already been killed investigating Pizzagate. He said his smoking gun that Pizzagate was real was a tweet from Andrew Breitbart from 2011. Andrew Breitbart, by the way, is a media operative shill who faked his death to make his news network more popular. See my video on that? Andrew Breitbart, major fraud. But anyway, this guy right here is a Jewish Zionist. And who was pumping him at first? The other shill channel, Marty Leeds 33, who's a Jewish Zionist. Marty Leeds, the Jewish shill Zionist with 33 right in his name, was pumping David Seaman. Neither of these are their real names. You know both of their names are Berg or Steen. David Seaman, Marty Leeds, mocking the truth community. The favorite hobby of the Zionist Jews are to mock people who aren't in their gang. You know, they call the Christians the goy toys. The word goy has the same gematria as Christian. And this story is really getting the goy toys, the people who think Donald Trump is a Christian. There's a reason the Zionist Jews have so much disrespect and contempt for humanity. None of it's excusable because these people are the sickest thing to ever exist. But in a way, you know, just trying to put myself in their shoes, I see why they play with people as they do, as sick as it is. So here's one of them. David Seaman, probably making a lot of money, playing with the Goy toys. Look at the name David Seaman. Sums to 93, just like propaganda. And notice David Seaman equals 39. Remember the S exception, S can be 1 or 10. If S is 10, David Seaman equals 48, just like Pizzagate, just like propaganda, just like hoax. The Zionist Jews do so much by the number 93. They also love their 33. And look at what day Marty Leeds 33 joined YouTube. He joined on November 22nd in the year 2011. 11/22, JFK Assassination Day. Assassinated in the middle of Dealey Plaza, named after a 33rd degree Master Mason. Zapruder film made by a 33rd degree Master Mason. But I mean, just look at these people. David Seaman, very transparent, an obvious liar, a poor speaker, giving you crap information. When you see these channels grow by 10,000, 15,000 subscribers a day, you know right away they're a shill, because YouTube doesn't allow real truth speakers to grow. Some of you are saying, well, how do you have so many subscribers? You know what, you guys? I'd probably have 200,000 subscribers if my stats weren't suppressed all the time. I have no idea how many people really watch this channel. All of my stats are scrunched. That's why you look at my videos and it says they have 1,000 views, where they've always said they've had since I had about 500 subscribers. You know? All these Pizzagate videos in all caps that David Seaman puts out, they have 100,000 views, 50,000 views minimum. They want this information out there. It's so obvious. If you just have logic, if you know the way this truth thing goes online, all the signs are there. You know, you don't even need gematria to see that this is a hoax. I knew this was a hoax before I applied any gematria. Coming right after the election, focusing on Hillary Clinton while you got Donald Trump in office who says he wants to fuck his own daughter. I mean, what could be more perverted? Donald Trump's part of this Jesuit order. Wouldn't be surprised in the least if he was a child molester. Also, this David Seaman, he was let go by the Huffington Post just before this happened. The Huffington Post 223, like the Synagogue of Satan, like Masonic, like BBC 223. Look at all these posts right here on Pizzagate. Look at the views, you know. In 1 hour, this guy had almost 11,000 views. And again, Reddit was who first made this story viral online. You know, Reddit can make things viral just like the mainstream media. Reddit 33. And then they took it away. But still, they got it out there. Here's also this man, Edgar Madison Welch. He's had some small bits in some lesser-known films. Now they use him to do the Pizzagate hoax. Also, down in the description, I'm going to plug this blog post from Brother Berg from Extra Capsa. He wrote up a really nice piece on Pizzagate. He found some pedophilia connections in gematria to elements in the story. I think that's it, Truth Seeker. You guys got to learn how to see the signs, you know. Gematria is one. More obvious ones are, how are these stories being pushed? Is YouTube letting views happen for videos on Pizzagate? And yes, they are. It's always a sign. Anytime you see big views, that means they want the information out there. Until next time, Truth Seeker.